Okay, welcome to the first video of machine ink tutorials. Today, I'm going to show you how to code basically how to design basic code for the alphabet using GCode. In this episode, we'll only cover letters A through C. So let's get started. And during the video, I will also explain everything, all the key parts to it as I go along. So first, let's change the view of it, the top view. That is easier to see. And then let's start with the A. Anytime when you're making G code, we'll just start off with parentheses. Make sure that you're in the caps lock because the machines only use caps lock. And then just a simple heading just so you know what you're typing the code for. So code for A is what I do. And then we make new lines. Every line of code is its own line. And then when you want the tool to go to a point, you do a G00 code. That's just a rapid move over to a location, and because it's cutting air, it's not cutting a piece. You just then, we know X and Y coordinates. It's the X and Y coordinates indicate the X and Y locations that we're going to or cutting to. So for this, we're just going to start the origin, X00. Easier to do like decimal, to make sure that no matter what, we always have a decimal and at least a 0 for each of the points, because the machines read it better that way. Like if it's the points like 1 1, make sure you have 1.0, because the machine just read it better that way. So then after we have this line of code, next line, and then now we're going to actually start cutting. And even though this is just demo code, we still do with the cut parts. So that will be a GO1 because we're going to be cutting now. And then to show that we're cutting, we do Z, which is the it's like the up and down. So Z, what I like to do, I just do 0.01. I've used that before. I'm just used to it. Next line. It's going to, I like to do the letters obviously left to right. So this is going to be the left side of the A. So GO1. And the spacing doesn't have, the spacing is just how I did it. There's enough space to make it look like the actual letter. So depending on what you're doing, you could decrease the size, increase the size, or keep it how it is. So how I have it, I have it cut from here, from the origin. I have it going to X 0.175, and then to a Y 0.59125. And then after each line of code that I'm cutting, I always want to press plot, just so I know what it looks like. And then you can also zoom in. That's a little too far. Okay, I guess I can't zoom in. Yeah, but that's what that line looks like. And then from here, I'm going to do the right side. And in this case, I'm going to do the exact same. The amount of space I moved to the right, because X, as you know, is left and right, and Y is up and down. We go to the same space right as I did before, and the same way down as it did before, even though it went up, but it is opposite, but it won't be the same distance. So X, so 0.175 times 2 is 0.35, and then it's going to go back down to 0 0, and it will look like that. Next, since that part's done, and there's still more to do because we have the center line, we do wrap it again because we're getting out of the part, and safe place to go to is Z 1.0. And then when you're doing this code, then you are trying to find like for example, this center line for the A to make it look like an A. You can do any kind of math that you need to find the exact part where the tool goes on the line and goes how you want it to look. I already have the math figured out, so you don't have to worry about it. In this case, is you will wrap it again, G00, and then X 0.063, and then Y 0.2125. And then yet again, we do a cut of G01 and then Z negative 0.01. Then, when you're just doing a straight line, and if it's a straight horizontal line, and you can, and like we are going to be doing now, you can just do G01 and then X as far as you need to go. For example, for this, we're going up until X 0.2875, and you don't need a Y because it's the same Y because it's a horizontal line. If it's vertical, you'll just do the Y, and then we plot it again, and this is what you get. We can zoom in a little bit. You can see that it's connected there. And again, you can make the lines into bigger or smaller if you need it. If you want to, the center line, it will match that. And yeah, and then again, it'll wrap it out and the save place. So now we have one letter done. Next we go on to code for B. Do the same thing as with the A. We put the heading, and then it'll wrap it to the safe location of the start of the letter, which for me, I've found out that X 0.4, and we're always going to start at the origin, and for the most part, for majority of these letters. So, and then we do a cut, the same thing as before, and then, like I said before, there's going to be a vertical line this time, so we can just change the Y to G01, and for cut, and then Y. Again, I already have all these points figured out. So this is, and I'm making all these pretty much all these letters even in sizing. So it's going to go the max Y point that we have for A, which is 0.59125, and then plot it again. And here we go. Next point that we're doing is doing a small horizontal line before we do the curves, just because it just looks nicer without a horizontal line. So it would be G01, and then X, again horizontal line, we just need to change the X. It is going to be the same value as the previous Y of 0.59125, and look like that. Next is going to be that first curve. For curves, this is going to be a clockwise curve. In that case, it will be a GCode code. And then when doing this, you want to make sure essentially that the X and Y values, like the X and Y values, are the same distance apart as the radius value. It doesn't always have to be, but most of the time it looks nicer when they match. So for this, the X, we're going to go to X 0.7165, Y 0.4434375. Yes, it is a big decimal point for that. But that's only because I'm just making this look nicer. This is just how I saw. That to make it the nicest point. And then the radius would be 0.1478125. And then when we plot it, it looks like that. And then we're going to be doing, because that's the first part of the curve, we need to do essentially the same thing 3 more times. So it's going to be another GCode, but we're doing another clockwise curve, and we're going back to the same x value as the previous line of code, so x 0.59125, and then y is going to be going the same distance down. Oh, and then it's going to be y 0.295625, and then it's the same radius as we did before. We plot it, we get that. That was the first curve. I mean, the first, first curve for the B. Now we do that 2 more times for the bottom set, and we're going to the first x for the first curve, which is x 0.71625, and the y is going to go is the same value as the radius at this point, so 0.1478125, and then the radius is the same value, like I said. And we plot it, we get that. And then finally, if we do this one more time, it goes back to the same y, and then the same x, and then the y is back at 0, 0, so 0.0, and the r radius is the same as we have been using. We plot it, and we get that, and then we can just make a horizontal line into x 0.4 back to the start, and then wrap it out. And finally, we're going to be doing code for C. For here, and again, we start G00, and I saw that and in this case, we're not going to start at the origin, we're going to start further out, because this is curves and not just straight lines. And so I'm starting off at the top right of the curve for the C. So that's going to be 1.375, and then y 0.34125. Then we're going to cut down, the same thing as before. And this time it's counterclockwise, so that's a GO3 code. And there's going to be going to point x 1.125, y 0.59125, because that's the max x, y point that we're going to be using for this alphabet. And then the radius is going to be just a simple 0.25. Plot it, and we get that. And that's the distance we want on the part, because when you do the next curve, it's going to be the same distance as the A and the B. For this, it's going to be a GO3 again, counterclockwise, going to point x 0.875, y 0.34125, and then in the same radius, and then that's what you get. And I'm using how the letters look on the keyboard, so if it looks a little weird, that's why. And the next, and again, because I'm using the keyboard, in this case, it looks like it just going down, because it looks like a straight line going down, even though it's not. I know, but this is an easy way to find it to make it look nice. So it's going to go down to the point, because it's a straight line, vertical. I'm going to have it just change the y down to 0.175, look like that. And then as the last two curves, and because it's still counterclockwise, GO3, I'm going to go to the point x 1.125, and then going to the origin, not origin, going to 0, 0 for the y, 0.0 for the y, and then the same radius, and we get that. And finally, GO3, counterclockwise, going to the starting x point, and then y 0.175 with the same radius, like that. And that's what we get. And then wrap it out. And that was letters A through C of the alphabet. If you enjoyed, please like the video. Stay tuned for the next episode, where we're going to cover the next 3 letters of the alphabet, D, E, and F.